And you've been so like consistent with your morning walks and everything, like your habits. Like, tell me about it. Like, seriously.
Yeah, so the morning walks have been, I think, a game changer for me, and they're actually a little bit of something that I'll be sharing in my workshop tomorrow.
Love it.
Because I mean, like naturally, because I work from home, I'm kind of always in the house, except, afternoons I'll go and sit outside to work in the sun, that sort of thing. But until that happens, I'm indoors all day. And I'm kind of sedentary doing what I do,
Yeah,
even though I know I should be moving. And I'm up in and out of the kitchen and the bathroom and walking around the house, but it's not the equivalent to actual exercise, right?
that's right.
Um, and I actually have to wake up 45 minutes before everybody else in the house in order to make this walk happen.
Wow.
Yeah, so I get up,
Sacrifice.
it is, and that's how I used to look at it. I was like, oh my God, like I never get just like, can I just sleep, right?
Yeah.
And the funny thing is now that I've been consistent with it, so I think I've done, morning walks Monday through Friday consistently now for I think almost 6 weeks.
Yeah, I
I
was
I
gonna
don't
say.
even know. Yeah, I don't even really know how long it's been because I haven't really been tracking it that way.
Right.
Um, and
You're
when I
more
first,
focused on like you're more paying attention on how it feels as
yeah,
opposed to
exactly,
tracking
yeah.
it. Yeah.
And when I first started it, it was exactly that. I was like, this is such a sacrifice. Like this is 45 minutes of sleep I could be getting. And
Mm,
the funny thing is now I'm actually waking up 15 to 30 minutes before my alarm
nice.
and going out and doing this. And it
Yeah.
feels so good. And I just never would have assumed. So while I used to think that I was sacrificing, sleep or time or comfort in my bed and that sort of thing, I'm actually just by implementing this habit, it's had this ripple effect in other areas where I'm sleeping better and I'm having better quality sleep. So when I'm
Yeah.
waking up, I'm rested and I actually
That's
feel good.
right. Yeah, it's not the quantity, it's actually the quality of sleep
Yes.
that you're having.
Yeah.
And by being consistent with waking up at a certain time every day, you're like rewiring your biological clock, and then you feel rested, and then now you have maybe a different mindset around like not resisting going for that walk, thinking like, oh, that could be sleeping instead of doing this. Now
Yeah,
that
exactly.
like the mind has shifted, you're
Exactly.
more like embracing your walk, and then that in turns gives you that energy for like just energizes you for the rest of your day, right?
Oh, 100%. And, I'm the kind of person in the morning, I need silence. I can't have a lot of overstimulation. I can't have a lot of people talking to me at once. There's already a lot to do. Like mornings already feel really rushed and overwhelming and
Oh,
stuff.
it's
So,
so true in so many households, right? Like when you think
yeah,
about it, especially
exactly.
with kids.
Exactly.
I hear you.
So I find, like doing these morning walks, they really help put me in the right mindset. And it's not to say that some mornings are a total like circus here or that I totally don't lose my cool because I do.
Yeah,
But
totally.
it's
Humans
not
first,
happening as
right?
often. Yeah, and it's not happening as often.
Yeah,
And it feels really good because I'm getting that quiet time to myself. I'm reflecting. A lot of the time, I actually use that time to do learning. So I've got a podcast on of some kind.
that's
I'm
awesome.
actually right now working my way through some CBT courses to work my way through some limiting beliefs and then
That's
actually be able to
amazing.
use. Yeah, so at the end of the course, I'll actually be certified as a CBT coach. So I'll be
Wow.
able to implement some of that in my practice and in my membership with my clients and customers and work them through a very systemized layout of working
Yes,
through limiting beliefs and habit stacking and
I love it.
rewiring. So so I use that time to invest in me, right? And with
Right.
nobody there and
Self-education.
my mind, yeah. And my mind is clear, right? Because I've just woken up. There's nothing to distract me. And
Yeah.
then what it means is by the time I get back to the house, people are starting to wake up. Maybe they're already up or they're stirring or whatever.
Yeah.
Like I'm ready. Like I have
Yeah,
filled myself. So now I'm like, let's pour out, right?
that's right.
And
Yeah.
it feels good.
Yeah, I mean the best time to learn something is when like the first thing in the morning, because that's when you're still in that alpha state of mind. So then
Yeah.
that's when you're like taking in it's easier to take in all that information and it sticks. So there's that, and there's also like meditation, and there's also like even in the shower, you find yourself like coming up with all these ideas,
Yes.
or like, first thing in the morning. Like that's why I always encourage people like planning out their day first thing in the morning, or do some self-education first thing in the morning, or like, and then moving your body on top of that, like like you're like the oxygen's like getting into your body, so you're like more clear of mind, right?
Yeah,
Like, it's
exactly.
just so many
And
benefits.
and I love it because it really does allow you to do that habit stacking, right? Like if
Yeah,
somebody told me like you need to spend 30, 40 minutes a day on personal development or learning something new, I would be like, where would I fit that in? Like, honestly, how could
that's
I fit
right.
it in? There's too much to do. There's 100 places I need to be. There's not enough time. By
Yeah,
the time I get time, I'm exhausted and I'm ready to sleep, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
so here I actually get to stack those habits and be like, okay, like I'm addressing first my mental health and my energy levels. And that's what that walk does for me,
yeah,
first and foremost, right? But by doing that, I'm in a space where I can learn, where I
yeah,
can focus, where I can commit
yeah,
to that. And then because of all that, I'm getting better sleep. So it's this cycle, right? Like it starts
absolutely.
somewhere. Somewhere you have to throw a rock in the wheel to make it stop, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
for me lately, it's been those walks. So it's been
that's
incredible
amazing.
to just see the ripple effect of it all take
Yeah.
place.
And there's ripple effects in good habits, and then there's ripple effects in bad habits, right? So it's just, and then starting that first thing in the morning, that just sets the tone for you to just, and it just encourages you to be your best self when you come back home. You're in the right headspace, you have more patience. You're just that best version of yourself as best as you can. And that just, pours onto everything else into your daily life. And that's initially that's the what you want.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it feels great, right? And I was thinking about it the other day because before I got into health coaching, I used to work very physical jobs. So when somebody used to say, like, for example, like I'm looking at getting myself a fitness tracker, right? And,
Mm,
15 years ago when I worked active jobs, or was always on the go, I would have said to somebody who was buying one of those, like, that's ridiculous. Why do you need to track it? Just get up
mm,
and do it, right?
right.
And now that that was probably the naive, insecure me, but
Right.
now that I'm now that and overachieving me, but now that I'm a little bit more sedentary in my day-to-day work,
Yeah.
um, it's become aware to me, I do want to be aware of when I'm
Yeah.
moving, how I'm moving my body, how it like what is that responding? How am I challenging myself, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like having that sort of feedback just helps reinforce my commitment to it,
Mm,
or helps reinforce my desire to try it or challenge myself, right? So
yeah.
for example, the walk that I've been doing the last 6 weeks, like the route I take, it used to take me 35 to 40 minutes, and now I'm down to like 21 minutes because it's
Wow.
I
That's
know, I
incredible.
know,
That's
and because I'm
awesome.
just walking, right?
Yeah.
And so what I'm finding is like what was taking me a long time before, uh, I'm now doing in half the amount of time. So my productivity
Incredible.
is going up, right? My energy is going up, my stamina, my strength, all of that. And so there's all these ripple effects. So I want to see, I want to start tracking it. Like,
Yeah.
this is
No,
really
it's
cool,
great.
right?
Yep. No,
Um,
it's so great. It's
yeah,
like you get to manage that because then you're measuring it. So then and then also you're getting that dopamine hit because
yes,
it's like so goal oriented. So you're getting
yes,
that those feel good hormones, the dopamine, instead of like getting the toxic dopamine hit with your phone or with like
yeah,
other bad habits. You know what I mean? Like shopping or
exactly.
like drinking or whatever. You're really, because either way you can get like a dopamine hit, but it depends how you want to spend it. So you're doing it in
Exactly.
a healthy
Yeah.
way. Yeah.
Exactly. And so, like, my phone will track my steps. It tracks how many steps I take if I'm carrying my phone on me, right? Which I don't always do. And I try, particularly between, 3 o'clock in the afternoon and 8 o'clock when my daughter's home and awake, I really try not to have it on me.
Yeah.
But but then I'm not tracking my steps, and I'm pretty active between 3 and
Yeah.
8 o'clock.
I would
So
imagine. Yeah.
I want to see those steps go up,
Yes.
right? So
Yes,
so this is
absolutely.
what has kind of prompted me to look into getting like a wearable option,
Yeah.
like a tracker of some kind. But um, what I find is that I'll turn on my phone at say 4 o'clock to see how many steps I've gotten. And then there's all these distractions on there,
Mm.
right? So I'm looking for a dopamine hit, and then what happens? Oh, Facebook pops up. Oh, a
Oh,
text message pops up.
yeah.
Oh, TikTok
The red
share. Oh, this, that.
notifications.
Yeah, exactly. And so exactly like you said, right? Like when you're looking for that dopamine hit, there's either these like positive fueling sources or these negative draining sources. And
That's right.
definitely when I'm looking for that and I'm turning on my phone, looking to see where my steps are at, there's these distractions that then give a different dopamine hit, right? So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's kind of prompted me to be like, okay, like I think it's time that I invest in a wearable tracker so that I don't have to look for that. I don't
Yeah.
have to seek it out, right? I can put it away. I can let it charge over on the wall, and I can go do my
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. You got to set proper boundaries around
Exactly.
that,
Yeah.
because
So,
it's easy to get caught up with the dopamine box.
oh,
This is
100%.
a dopamine box.
100%. Especially, like if when you work on social media, right? Like when a lot of your job requires you to be on social media.
Yeah,
So there's always that like, oh, there's one more person, or like,
that's
oh, there's one
right.
more comment, one more,
Yeah, one more like, one more comment, and then it's like, and that
exactly.
really like fuels you up. But in it, like, it can serve you in a positive way, but then when we're too consumed with it, and then we put all that power into that, then it just kind of can drain us in a way that is like, it doesn't do us any good. And now we're like, like, it can even affect our mood depending on what type of comments or the amount of time we spend on there, because it just, we're not comfortable with doing anything else, or like what the person said can really affect us. We're just giving so much power away
Oh,
to
a hundred
this
percent.
dopamine box.
Yeah, 100%. Exactly. Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
it's just been an interesting, 6 weeks of evolution, just watching all these tiny little habits come into play
Yeah.
just because I decided that in the
Yeah.
mornings I was going to go for a walk.
Yeah.
Uh, and before that, my morning routine was I still enjoyed the morning routine I had before that. It was, waking up and having a nice little herbal tea, doing some journaling, maybe some stretching and yoga. Um, but with my energy levels so low from where I
Mm,
was mentally, physically, emotionally, everything going on over the winter time, plus the added condition of winter
that's
itself,
right. Yeah.
um, you know, I could tell that hormonally my like there were things going on that I had to
Yeah.
address. And
Yeah.
and I knew that like one of the first ways to like kick that is to get out in the sun.
Yeah, you
Just
need to
get out
find
there.
different practices
Yeah.
that would generate that energy, because
The
we don't
energy,
necessarily
exactly.
have that energy. We have to generate it somehow, and you
Exactly.
found your way. And I find that sometimes that works, like for some seasons, and then other seasons you'll find that other things will work. Like for me, this past winter was, waking up super early, literally like 4:45 to get to the gym at 5:15 and do a workout, and then do my daily planner and all the things. And that worked for like, 6 months, but then I started finding myself like feeling overwhelmed and just kind of like burning myself out. So then I had to like reevaluate what my morning routine looked like for me. So for me, in this moment in time, I love sleeping in till 6, and I'll do a home workout instead. And I just find that is equally fulfilling, because I get to sleep in, like, I get to go to bed a little later.
Yeah.
And with my gut thriving program that I'm doing, it requires a different self-care rituals that, in the evening time, where it's like, well, no, I can't, because I gotta go to bed early, because I gotta wake up early to go do my workout. Like, it wasn't fitting
Yeah.
in this moment in time. So I just have to like shift a little bit. And I find that's the thing. It's like when you start something that's working for you, it can work for you in a season, and it's okay to
Yes.
change certain things, and then maybe go back to other things. Like, it's okay to change.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And that's I think where a lot of people sort of get stuck, right? Is they're like, "Oh, I've tried this, it didn't work," or I was doing it forever and it worked and now all of a sudden it's not. And I think we kind of get stuck in this idea that health has to look a certain way, right? Like our
Yeah.
habits have to look a certain way. And really they don't, because our life is never static. Like it's
Yeah.
dynamic, it's always moving. So being flexible with that. And I think the biggest thing And one of the things I teach my clients is like, if you know what your guiding principles are around your health, it's easier to find habits that will support the
That's
right?
true.
So, like for example, for me, like I didn't like that I was feeling really tired all day and that
Mm,
my mornings were super miserable. Like
right.
I don't like being that like angry morning person.
Yeah.
So, so for me, it was, what habits can I have in place that are going to solve those two problems, and how can I commit to them? Um,
Yeah.
and so
That's
I
great
think
that
by
you brought
having,
curiosity over that instead of judging it, because it's easy to judge that. And then that blocks the curiosity about what's going on there, you know?
yeah, 100%. And I think I definitely did used to judge it. I was like, oh, I'm just not a morning person. I'm a night owl sort of thing, right? And I used to
Right.
kind of stay stuck in that mindset of like nothing I could do about it. But then I was like, no, wait a second. I'm in control of my actions here. So
That's
why
right.
is it that I'm acting this way, right? Like
Yeah.
why? And I didn't like it that, you know, my husband was leaving for work and he's irritated with me because I set everybody off, right? And my daughter was
Mm,
going to school and she's irritated with me because I set everybody off and we're all fighting just because I can't manage myself, right?
that's right. Yeah.
And I didn't like that. Like, I don't want to be
Oh,
that toxic parent.
yeah.
So, yeah, I did start to kind of question and wonder, like, why am I like this? And I have actually learned a lot. That is probably a story for another day.
Right. Right. No, but it
I
just
have
goes to
learned a
show you
lot.
for every
Yeah,
action has a reaction. And it's like, what kind of reaction do you want every single day? Right. And
exactly.
it's like, I don't know. I find that's where if you kind of have that mindset of where like life is a practice, you just keep practicing things that work for you in a
Yeah,
season. And then if eventually when you go with the ebb and flow of life and you find that you're feeling a shift in your way of doing things, then if you can just kind of like recalibrate and evaluate what's working, what's not working, and then just go about like doing something else, you know?
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. I love that. I love exactly how you worded that. Recalibrate.
Yeah. Yeah. That's okay. I was thinking, yeah, I wanted to like, I was thinking about like life as a practice today only because this morning when Naomi was like my daughter was practicing her lines for like she has to do a presentation at school, and of course she waited last minute, so she's like panicking, and I'm like just practice, and she was practicing like all morning and everything, and then she was finally getting it, but then at the beginning of when she like didn't like she was struggling, she was like I can't do this, it's too hard, I can't remember my lines, and I'm like just practice, you know. It's like we get in the way of practicing what we want to master because we want it right away, you
Yeah,
know. And it just dawned on me. I'm like, that's a metaphor for life when you think about it. Like the yogis have it right. It's like it's a practice. It's like you want to approach life with a practice and then maybe pivot and do things that are different if what you're doing right now doesn't work, but it remains to be a practice. And then the more you practice, put your focus and energy into this practice, whatever that may be, you will get better at it. You know, it's very rare that you'll be naturally good at something, but if something that you're really passionate about, uh, but you find yourself like, you know, like especially for me, like I tend to be like a perfectionism, like I want it like done right away, like right away. I tend to like be hard on myself, but or like you know the ego steps in. It's like it wants to be like it wants it done perfectly and
yeah,
right, or like you know, or you're hard on yourself if you don't get it right away. But then if you have the approach of like, no, this is a practice, and the more energy I put into it, the better I'll be. And I think that's a little bit more forgiving in any areas of your life, really.
for sure. And I think too, when we find a way to bring passion to the subject that we're practicing, right? So a really great example is, it's funny you mentioned like practicing a presentation because Annabelle too had a presentation last week that she was practicing for, and she has another one next week that we're now practicing for. So, and she tells me, she's like, I'm nervous. I don't like getting up in front of
Mm,
the class, right? And I thought back to when I was in grade school and I didn't like presenting either. And it's funny because I look now at what I do, and my workshop tomorrow has like 100 women registered for it, and I'm not an inkling nervous at all. In fact, I'm excited. Like the
Right.
more people, the more women there, the better. That excites me, right? So
Right.
I thought about sort of what made the shift, right? Why was it that when I was practicing as a child, was it so difficult and scary versus now, um, when really, I probably have a harsher judge of audience now than I did as a child,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so really it comes down to, are you talking or are you practicing your passion, and how are you bringing your passion to what you're practicing?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't have that passion, some way, somehow, like maybe fitness is not your passion, you don't love exercising, but you're trying to make it part of your routine,
Yeah,
how can you add passion to that to practice it and make it work
that's
for you?
right.
So it's I think it comes down to just being, having fun in the moment, or finding the fun in it, finding the joy in it. And for me, like especially for fitness, I hated because I used to work such active jobs before, the idea of having to work out
Mm,
now that I don't have an active job
yeah.
seems like a job on its own.
Yeah,
Like
that's
I
true.
would rather work 12 hours of active work than do a 20 or 30 minute workout, right?
Wow, okay.
Um, and so what I was doing to make that fun for me was choosing a variety or style of workout that I actually like, right?
Yeah,
So I don't do
so
Pilates because I
important.
hate Pilates.
Right.
I
Yeah.
hate it, so I don't do it, right? But then two was, uh, I was putting the TV on to watch an episode of my favorite show while I did a workout,
There you go.
right? And so I
Yeah.
was I was getting that dopamine hit of wanting to watch my show and enjoying the drama. I think it was like Grey's Anatomy when I
I
started.
love
So that's
it.
right. Yeah. So but I was building in the passion and the adrenaline and the
Backing
enjoyment.
again.
Exactly. Yeah. And then what I found, of course, was that through being consistent, through practicing my fitness, I
Yeah,
actually did find natural joy in fitness as well.
I
So now
love
I
it.
do enjoy it, right? So,
Yeah,
yeah, so you can, I think, bringing some level of enjoyment to what you're practicing,
that's
however
right.
that looks for you, is a huge game changer in actually helping you commit to the practice.
That's right. And I do find like as you're practicing something that you are not really good at the beginning, like for me, like I remember like, oh my gosh, like 5, 6 years ago, like being super nervous talking publicly, like doing public speaking events or like even just recording myself on video. I found it was like super awkward and intimidating. And I'm just like, I know that I have to embrace the suck and just continue to practice, 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 and turn that like nervousness into excitement because it initially triggers the same thing in your nervous system. It's like turning
Yeah,
your anxiety into excitement. And also like what is like not thinking like really thinking about like it's not about me, it's about them. Like what do you want to like transcend, like you know what I mean,
yeah,
like what message do you want your audience to hear and for them to have like just to have that positive impact, like it that's the why that really overcame my own fears and insecurities of public speaking, and it
yeah,
continues to be to this day because I still get nervous when it comes to talking like or doing videos or whatever, because you're like when you start getting inside of your head you're like am I doing it right, do I look okay, oh my gosh, like I don't know, you're starting to get into your head and but then you stop and you take a deep breath and you're like this practice is about them, not about you, and
yes,
the message that they'll receive could potentially change somebody's life. So
yeah.
that's the big reason why I
Yeah, exactly. And
practice.
I remember being asked once if I use notes, cue cards, and scripts for a lot of
Mm,
my presentations and stuff. And the answer is no. And the simple fact of the matter is that when I do that, I don't get the opportunity to really connect with the people that I'm sharing with, right?
yeah,
Because
it's so
because
true.
it's not personalized to what I'm feeling in the room and in the audience, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And
you're not
even
connecting to
exactly, yeah.
what you're saying.
And so, you know, I could deliver the same presentation hundreds of times over, and for some of them I have, but it never comes out and is delivered the same way
Yeah,
because I share something different. I have somebody else in the audience that I know is looking for something specific, right? Because I like
Yeah.
to talk to my audience beforehand
And
too.
you're so good at it, honestly. Like
Yeah.
you honestly, you're one of like you really inspire me in that way. Like you're really like you're very natural. You're very connected to your audience. People can feel that. And I do feel like I'm a lot better than I used to be, but I was way more in my head before than I am now. And that continues to be the message and the inspiration that I get from you is to really learn how to connect to what you're saying and not get
Yeah.
inside of your head. That's the
Yeah.
bottom line. And that's what I was teaching my daughter this morning. I said, because she was starting to get frustrated and like, oh my gosh, I'm trying to memorize my lines. I'm like, well, how about you connect to the story? What
Hmm.
does this poem mean to you?
Yeah.
You know? Like, and then
Exactly.
it was easier for her to memorize it because then she was connecting with it. And I just, it was a huge aha moment for me when it comes to really connecting with my audience, and they can really feel that. But of course, it comes with practice,
Yes.
practicing, because at the beginning, you will be inside of your head. You will pay more attention to how you look and how you're performing rather than what message are you trying to convey. So it does come more naturally the more you practice it. So that's why I was doing my morning. I don't know if you remember that, but for like a long time, I was doing my morning lives
Hmm.
and I was doing like videos every single day. Or at a point in time, my husband and I would do morning shows just to
I
help because
remember that.
yeah, I couldn't do it by myself because I was like, I need a buffer. So it's like, so he would do it for me, but then he started to get like he was going like in another direction and the intention wasn't like the same. So I was like, you're fired and I'm just gonna do it my own. It was like a blessing in disguise, but it's like, no,
Yes.
I need to like find my sea legs and I need to like, just do it. And that's the thing. You have to know you're not going to be all that great right away, but with practice, it's going to get better in anything, not just public speaking, like in your habit stacking,
Yeah.
in your, like diet and working out and anything, basically anything that you're putting your mind
Exactly.
to. Yeah.
Exactly. And the simpler we can make it, like starting with one tiny simple habit, the
Yeah.
better. Like going for my walk, right? When I first
Yeah.
started it was like around 5 blocks. So it took me like five,
Yeah.
10 minutes. And then I was like, okay, this isn't quite enough. I need to go a little longer. And that's when I was taking like 30 minutes to do the loop.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so just starting somewhere, like one little habit, just pick something and
That's a good
just
point.
see if it works for you, right? Like make
Yeah.
it work for you or find the joy in making it work because
Yeah,
when
I
we
love
when we
that.
do
Find the
that,
joy.
yeah,
I love that.
exactly.
It's so true because we either like run towards pleasure or like run away from
Or run
pain
from
or run
pain.
towards
Yep.
pleasure. And also like you said, like baby steps because then it doesn't freak out the brain, like you just start with one small habit and then that one small habit is like usually results in a small win and then that
Yes.
gives you that dopamine hit to keep going and keep building and keep getting better and better and better. And
That's
that's
exactly it.
essentially
Yeah,
it.
that's exactly it. And I think and I know we're really short on time, so I'll keep this quick. But um I know that most people find a healthy lifestyle overwhelming
I
because they
know.
either try to do everything all at once
Yes.
or they take on these huge changes. And you really
Yes.
don't have to do that because, like you said, you start with the little one, you
Yes.
win, it reinforces it, you keep going. And then because of that one, you're going to see a trickle effect in other areas where you just naturally start picking it up. And this is what we're talking about when we talk about habit stacking, right?
Oh,
Because
yes,
it
yes.
all comes at once.
That's my whole approach to health
Yeah,
coaching.
me
And
too. I
that's
love it.
and I do find that's the best way to create sustainability
Absolutely.
in one's healthy lifestyle. You know what I mean? Because I don't know. It's true. When you look at the whole big picture, super overwhelming, super
Yep.
overwhelming. That's why they say don't compare yourself to the people that are so ahead of you, compared to the person that just started working out a month ago. And then,
Absolutely.
pick their brain and like honestly, that's just the way to go.
Absolutely. 100%. Literally like my motto, one bite at a time.
Yeah, and mine is practice makes progress, not perfection.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah, yeah.